Welcome to Barham Jersey Farm Virtual Chat. I am Brittany with the Discover Dairy Program, and we are so excited that you are joining us today as we get to meet Farmer Mary and, of course, your adorable adopted calves, Kisses, Nancy, and Nellie. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 43,000 teachers and 1.7 million students joined the fund for free this year, thanks to our generous supporters like the Dairy Alliance and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. If you'd like to join the fun again next year, registration and re-enrollment actually open tomorrow. So you can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, and there you can either log in and re-enroll if you're returning to the program, or if you're new, you can go ahead and create a new account and get started. Next, today's event is live on YouTube and Facebook. So there you can go ahead and use the chat and comment section to connect with us. We are really excited to hear your questions, and I know Farmer Mary is really excited to answer them. Now, before we go over to Farmer Mary, let's see who is joining us today. So we'll check out that YouTube feed. And let's see, we've got Miss Brown who joined us from Louisville. So hello, we're excited to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. We have Miss Hall's second grade class in Collierville. So hello, thank you so much for joining us. We've got Charleston Elementary, Mrs. Denny's class, and they say hello. We say hi to you as well. Mrs. Cooper's second grade class from Cleveland, Tennessee. Hello and welcome all. Let's see, going down a little bit further, we have Miss Scott's third grade class. Hello and welcome. How about Burns Pre-K? And we also have Mrs. Haran's class from Knoxville. And there's many more of you, Miss Abby's third grade class, Mrs. Megan's class. Hello, all. Welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can keep letting us know where you're tuning in from. But in the meantime, I am really excited to introduce you to Farmer Mary. Hey, Farmer Mary, how are you doing today?
Hey Brittany, I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really good. We are so excited to be here with you today. And today is the day finally get to meet you in person and meet our adopted calves. But we'll start off, of course, by hearing from you a little bit. If you want to give us a little intro on who you are and your farm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Mary. I get to hang out and work here on Barham Jersey Farm. I married the fourth generation of the farm, Tanner, and we get to raise the fifth generation on the farm. We have two little boys. One might be watching. So we milk registered jerseys in Tennessee. We're located in the southeast corner. If you put like a little pin drop kind of between Georgia and North Carolina in the southeast corner, then there's Calhoun. And that's where we're at. We currently milk about 280 roughly registered Jersey cows. Um, and so we just raise our boys on the farm, and my husband is full time on the farm with his dad, and we have a few employees, and then I get to help with like social media and things that are posted online and the show calves, and I get to do the baby calves and fill in where I'm needed. Most of the time I like to be with the cows, not really in the fields on the tractor. I would rather be in here doing stuff with the cows. So that's a little bit about us. And then this is our second year doing the Adopt a Calf program. We have thoroughly enjoyed doing it. Last year we had three on the program. This year we have three again. And a fun fact about the three that are this year, two of them are twins. So if you had Nancy or Nellie, they actually have a full-blooded sister, and they were born at the same exact time. So they're the twins on the farm right now. And then we have Kisses.
Oh, we're so excited to get to meet them and get an update on them. Before we jump over there, now you mentioned a little bit about your responsibilities on the farm. What all, could you kind of give us an overview of the basic things that happen on a farm from sun up to sundown? What's kind of an average day
Yes.
look like?
Okay, so an average day at Barham Jersey Farm, the lights turn on about 2:30 in the morning is when they start milking. We have a few gentlemen that kind of switch in and out throughout the week, and they milk twice a day. And they start up the barn at 2:30 in the morning and start bringing the cows in to get milked, and then they'll go back out and they'll go to the into their barns where they eat, and then they get to go outside for the day until it's time to milk again, which starts again at 2:30 p.m. And it takes about 2:30 to 6 o'clock to milk, depending on things that happen throughout the day and what cows might need attention. So between that, they're putting out feed for the calves, for the heifers, about 6 a.m., 6:30. They're feeding the baby calves. They'll do that again in the evening about the same time. It depends on what day, what month it is, of how many baby calves are needing to be fed by the bottle. Sometimes they have 30 on the bottle, sometimes we have 10 on the bottle. It just depends on what day it is. So, especially if it's like silage season or hay needs mowed and cut and brought in, it just depends on what the average day looks like. But the barn starts at 2:30, and usually the last person goes home somewhere between 6 and 7, depending on what season it is. Now, if it's silage season, it might be 9:30 before anybody gets home. So, but the day definitely consists of everything with the cows. They need to make sure they're healthy, that they're eating, that they're drinking, they're checking on them. So they're getting milked, and then they're getting fed, and it takes all day to feed all the cows and all the heifers and all the baby calves, and especially everything that goes with it. And I'm sure we'll get asked later on, but sometimes the calves have doctor's appointments with the vet. So the vet comes by and the nutritionist comes by. So it's a full all hands on deck with the my husband and his father, and then his mom and his sister and us as well, and me and the boys. And then he has an uncle that we get to use him for the nutrition with the cow. So it's a full family affair that happens all day long.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you guys definitely keep busy between all of you. And I know even off the farm you have another job too. So you guys are
Yes,
are constantly busy, and but of course, like you said, the number one priority is making sure these girls are happy and healthy. And we love
yes,
that. Now, speaking
yes.
of our adopted calves, I think they're probably hanging out with you somewhere in your pen. So as we shift to them, just want to remind everybody you can use that chat that you let us know where you're from. Go ahead and put your questions in there. Once we get an update on our girls, we'll go ahead and take your questions. So, Farmer Mary, how are our
Yeah,
girls doing?
they're doing good. So we don't have their names on their tags, but we have their numbers that identify who they are for all of us. So we have Nancy. If you all had her, she's 1707. So we'll get a picture of her. And then 1708, if you see that go before the camera, that's Nellie. So makes sense, right? 1707, 1708, born on the same day as twins. And then we have
Yeah.
1715. So she was born a few days later. And that is Kisses. So they're doing good. They're hanging out in the barn with us right now. They get to go between the barn and actually out into the field. But we have them up in here so you all can see them. They get to hang out with about 30 of their closest friends every day, um, between the field and the barn. And they've got water and they've got bedding in here and feed. And they get fed hay and grain and silage every day. And of course, they have access to water 24/7. And they
Yeah.
have a creek that they can go play in throughout the day. And it looks like a lot of them are out there just laying around right now. It's kind of hot down here today, so I think it's about 80 degrees. Last year, I remember doing this, and I had a sweatshirt and overalls on, but not today. Um, so it's pretty warm down here. But they get to hang out, and um, they get to eat whatever they want. They have access to food 24/7 or hay. So they're pretty happy and healthy right now.
Aw. Now it's interesting, even just in this short little bit we've been hanging out with them. Um, it kind of seems like Kisses kind of, she's on her own, and then those two twins tend to really hang out together.
Yes.
Were they together a lot, or do you think that's just instinct, or it just is it's interesting?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of instinct with the twins. Kisses, I've joked a little bit earlier, she's a little hateful. She kind of likes to be by herself. Every time I went to, so she's like moving over here and ticked off. She wants out of the barn, but she, she, every time I would go to do an update or take a picture, or get their height or their weight, she would run. And would not want to be. So some of the, I think it was her that's like one of the pictures was mid step because she was
Right.
not having it. But the twins kind of hang out together. They work together side by side in their pens. up until they moved into the group pens, and they still hang out right now together. So they're actually
Aw.
Tanner's or my husband's getting a really good picture of Kisses right now, but
Yeah.
she's a little feisty, but Nancy and Nellie, they're pretty sweet.
Aw.
They kind of run away a little bit, but not as much as Kisses. So
Now I know we've been following their height and weight all year long. Now for
yeah.
Kisses, who is just on the camera, I think she's a little bit older than the twins, and she was
Hmm.
she was born not a twin, which means she was just born bigger
Right.
to begin with. We
Yeah.
had her at 550 pounds at 6 months old and 43
Yeah.
inches. How big do you think she is now?
Yeah. So they've gained probably about 100 to 110 pounds for
Wow.
the past month and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're
So
probably looking at maybe
close to
650.
650. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you think she got much taller or did she just kind of put on some weight?
I think she's put on a little, just more weight, honestly. I would say maybe an inch or so in the past month and
Okay.
a half. But this is this season where they're kind of putting on the weight, bulking up a little bit. Um,
Sure.
so I think for the most part, all three of them have gained. Um, I don't know that Nellie probably has gained 100 pounds in the past month and a half. I would say maybe closer to the 50 to 75 mark.
Okay.
But they definitely are growing. And so
Oh, yeah.
Nancy and Nellie, they're a little bit small, but you will expect that with twins. So,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
they're all growing and they're all healthy. So that's a plus. It takes a lot sometimes to keep twins upright and healthy, but they are thriving.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear that. So for anyone that's graphing their growth, we have Kisses at about 650 pounds and maybe one extra inch, so 44 inches. And then we've got Nancy probably around like maybe you said like maybe almost 100 pounds or maybe 75 pounds. We can say she's 575 pounds and maybe 43 inches. And then Nellie, I think you had said probably a little bit less. So maybe we put her at 560 pounds and probably 43 inches. So for anyone charting that, then you can go ahead and add that to your growth charts. But as you said, they're all growing really well. They're clearly very energetic and alert and loving life. And like you said, they probably are really excited to get back out to the pasture with their herd mates. But we'll just
Yes.
hang out with them here for a little bit for our live chat. Then they'll get to go back out. Um, Farmer Mary, thank you. That was a great just little update on their personality and how they're doing. Now, you mentioned their food. Is there any
Hmm.
chance you can show us what that food looks like?
Yeah, so they get out in the field, they get silage, which is a mix of the corn that gets chopped and then it gets
Hmm.
fermented. So that's out in the field, so we won't grab that. But
Hmm.
when they're in the barn, they get fed grain. So it's a mix of different things. There's some corn and some cotton hulls. But one of the things that's in this is the molasses that's in the feed that kind of makes it sweet. So they
Hmm.
love to get some grain. They know the truck that feeds them the grain and the buckets that are in the back. They know what it's for. So they come running to the lockups where they get the grain and they love it.
Sure.
It's gone pretty quickly. And then
Oh,
they get hay as well. They have access to hay all the time. We try to
sure.
make sure that there's always a bell out for them to eat. And then of course the water that they have access to 24/7. So
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That molasses certainly sounds like a nice little treat that they get to enjoy.
yes, it
So,
is. They enjoy it. So
oh.
it's sweet to them.
Very nice. Let's see. We had a question. So obviously two of them are twins. We are curious if twins are common and maybe also tie that into how many calves a year does a cow have or in their lifetime?
Yeah, so twins are not common. Twins are actually kind of hard on mom. So we don't necessarily love for the heifers and cows to have twins, but sometimes it does happen.
Sure.
But it's not very often for us. And then a cow has one calf a year.
Gotcha. So one calf a year. Now, our girls, I'm pretty sure they're too young to have a calf. When will they start producing milk and have a calf of their own?
They are. So they are too young to have one. They start giving birth to calves somewhere around the 2 year mark. And then at that point, after they've given birth to one of the calves, then they're going to the milk barn every day to get milked, and that's when they start producing milk. So here on our farm, we sell to Mayfield, is the common name that everybody knows it by. So the yellow jugs, and a
Yeah,
lot of times here the Jersey milk is high in if it's a high fat content. So a lot of
sure.
times the milk that leaves this farm goes into the ice cream products that Mayfield sells.
Oh, cool. So it's a possibility if you're local to Barham, Jerseys, and you buy any Mayfield ice cream, it could be coming from their farm. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so, yeah, we always like the yellow jug. We always say that that's the cow's favorite color is yellow because that's the jug that it gets sold in. So we like the yellow jug. We like to see it in everybody's refrigerators. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's when they start producing milk, and we like to say that that's their favorite color.
Aw, that's cute. Now, we talked about their growth a little bit, Farmer Mary, and we had a question from Lincoln. They were curious, how, how do cows grow so fast? Maybe can you just explain, is that normal for cows to grow that quickly? Just because as humans, at 6 months old, we certainly don't put on 500 pounds in 6 months. So is that normal for a cow?
It is normal for them. So they're usually um, they're not necessarily full grown until about the 2 to 3 year mark. So they're constantly growing up until 2 or 3, and then they kind of level out and don't really grow in height uh, much anymore. Now they might put a few
Sure.
pounds on after 2 or 3, and sometimes we have to, make corrections to their feed because we don't want them to be unhealthy by any means. So we like to
Sure.
keep them healthy and kind of fit, honestly, keep them on a not necessarily an exercise regimen, but we have to keep their food right and make sure that they're up and going so that they're not
Yeah.
getting down and sick on us. But yeah, they definitely grow at a very fast pace, considerably to humans who
Oh,
don't gain 100 pounds a
sure.
month at 6 months old. So,
Sure.
but yeah, it
Yeah.
is pretty normal for them to do this, and we always want to see them grow and get big so that they grow into good cows and um,
Awesome.
can hold their own outside with the other
Yeah.
ones.
Awesome. Perfect. And then you had mentioned at like 2 to 3 years old, they're considered full grown and mature and they'll live a couple years after that. About what's
Yeah.
the life expectancy of a cow on your farm?
Well, this is probably a little different, but we have one right now that's 11 on the farm. She's 13.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm just kidding. She's 13 right now. So
Oh my
that's not the,
goodness.
yeah, that's not necessarily the norm. I think the norm for us is probably about 5-ish years or so.
Sure.
That's how long they usually last or stay on the farm.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
13 is definitely not normal, but we do love to see it if they
Yeah.
last that long. And um,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
I think we're very proud of her.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but yeah, then
Absolutely.
the normal for us is somewhere between 5, and we sometimes things happen, but we have usually about 5, and then 6, 7, 8. It just depends,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
that's the norm
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? So if for everyone that's listening, cows, as we've learned, grow much faster than humans. So one cow year is about 10 human years. So if you're talking 5 to 8 years, that's a 50 to 80-year-old cow essentially. So your
Yes.
13-year-old is, man,
Yeah.
she's defying the odds over there. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, she is.
I love
She
that.
and she's up and healthy, so
Oh,
that's so
that's
positive.
awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. We had a really cute question from Miss Davis. We are curious, can cows do tricks? Like we can train our dogs to do tricks. Can cows do tricks?
They can do a lot of tricks. They can get out of these fences real quick. Like, no, do they sit and lay down on command? No, they don't. I don't, or we can't, we haven't learned to teach them that yet. But I don't know if it's necessarily some tricks, but they do know, just like when they're getting fed grain, they know the truck that's pulling up and they know what it's doing. So they come to the lockups to get fed.
Sure.
Um, some of them, maybe they're more of like creatures of habit. They kind of learn what's going on, but I think that's pretty smart for a cow to know what truck I can pull up in in my side by side, and they know I'm not feeding them grain, but they know what is feeding them grain, or the tractor that comes by. They know who has silage on the front of it and if they're going to get
Yeah.
fed. So we
Yeah.
joke that their trick is probably to know how to get out of the fence.
Right.
So if that would be the trick for them. But they also know when it's time to come in and get milked. We still go out into the field and get them and bring them in, but a lot of them know about the time that they need to come in, and they stand at the gate ready to go in. So uh,
That's awesome.
not necessarily to sit down and roll over, but yeah, they do know some things.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. We've actually had a couple of questions. They've noticed that these girls, while they're hanging out with us, they're flipping their tails a lot, kind of like a
Yes.
dog does. Is
Hmm.
that normal? And, it's just, do they have a muscle in their tail? Why do they do that?
It is normal, especially during the hotter months that we have, that they're swatting the flies away. So we spray for flies, but like I said earlier, it is very hot down here
Yeah.
in Tennessee. Like, I don't know if this is season appropriate yet or not, but it just feels like it came on very strong. So they're swatting the flies away off their backs right now. So
Gotcha.
it is normal. They don't do that as much when it's cold outside because there's not flies around, but that is pretty normal right now. They call them their switches, is what the bottom of their tail is, or what we refer to it as. So
Uh,
they're they're getting them off the backside of them. So we
Perfect.
spray for them, but they still are around.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you. We had another question. So we kind of followed along these girls for quite a while, for what, 7, 8 months or so. And we noticed they went from like an individual housing to kind of group housing. Is there a certain age that they are separated? Are they separated by age? And do they still get separated when they're become adults, or how does that work? They're just trying to understand, that transition from different
Yeah.
lifetimes.
So they are separated by age and then by group. So they start out in their own pens because they're bottle fed. So they start out in their own individual pens where they have their own individual bedding, their own individual bottle, and then so that helps us cut down on sickness and disease. That they kind of are like in their own little area and they're not spreading sickness if one of them were to get sick to the other calves, because you run into
Sure.
that when you put them into the group pen. So that jerseys are sometimes jerseys are a little hard to get going in life. So we keep them by themselves, and that way they get their own, personal attention at that time.
Sure.
So as they get older, they kind of get weaned off the bottle, and the milk goes into a bucket in front of them with their grain, and then they get introduced to water as well. And then after somewhere around 8 weeks, 10 weeks, they get put into a group pen. And when we say group pens, we don't mean 40 calves are in this little group pen. There's maybe 8 in the group pen, and so
Sure.
they can be fed on a group bucket. They can get milk that has it looks like bottles coming out of the end of it, and so they can drink out of it, and then they all kind of share their own feed and water. And then so the older they get moved into bigger group pens. So right now these girls are hanging out with 30 heifers, but there's a lot more room. The barn's bigger, the field's bigger, so there's
Mhm.
room for them. But when they first start life, we keep them by themselves so that they can get a good start on life and keep the sickness and the diseases down. Because
Sure.
just like kids, they get sick, they have stuff happen to them. They get, I think pneumonia and the RSV in
Sure.
children. Those kind of respiratory diseases, not necessarily just those, but those run through the herd sometimes. So we
Yeah,
like to keep them. We like to keep them by themselves to try to cut down on that and give them a good chance at life. So,
absolutely. Yeah, because they're born without an immune system, just like us
mm-hmm.
when we're babies.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
yep, absolutely.
they're
Everything
hanging.
you guys are, yeah,
Sorry,
everything you're
they're
doing
hanging out by
is
the fence to try to get out.
oh my goodness. Tell them you just need 5 more minutes with them and
I
then they can go
know.
back out. Um, no, I love that. And clearly, everything is thought through really well. You're making sure that you're giving them that best, healthiest chance at life and giving them a really good kickstart. So that way they can grow big and strong and grow to be 500 pounds like they are now. And hopefully one day close to 800 or 1,000 pounds when they're considered full grown, which is crazy that they'll get that big yet. But
Yeah.
so Farmer Mary, I had another question from someone. They were curious if you had any other animals on the farm other than dairy cows.
uh, I laugh about this. Um, we have on the farm, we just have dairy cows, but at our house that is also on the farm, we have two Australian shepherds, Sky and Knox, that hang out. And then I just got seven chickens. So
Oh,
um, we don't have like any other herds per se. Like we don't run a beef herd. We don't have horses or anything like that, or
yeah.
goats or sheep, but we are a dairy farm and that's what we have. And as much as I try to talk our family into, getting a donkey or a goat, it doesn't really happen. So we have a few chickens and two dogs, but that's about all. We have,
Aw,
close to 500 registered jerseys. So those are
yeah.
all the babies.
Oh, very nice. And we
Yes.
had some folks wondering about just how are their moms doing at the farm.
Yeah, they're good. They're it's 1:45 now, so they'll be due to get milked in just a little while.
Oh,
But they're
good.
good. They're healthy. And then we have the ones from last year too. They're up and doing well. If they were signed up last year and had those heifers, they're good too.
Yeah.
So
There was someone, oh, now I'm gonna not find it, of course, right when I want it, but there was someone that said they adopted one of them last year and was asking how
yeah,
they were doing. So that's really great to hear that that the calves from last year are also doing really well. And I guess they're
yes,
probably pretty close to would be pregnant and hopefully having their first calf in the fall soon, right?
yes. Sorry, there's a tractor going by over this now.
Oh, all good.
Sorry,
No problem.
or the sprayer. Yes, no, they are. I'm trying. I just lost the name of the spotted one from last year. Honey.
Um,
Sorry, if you guys adopted Honey from last year,
yes.
she is getting ready to calve.
Aw, that's
So
awesome. That's
yes,
so
but yeah, they're
exciting.
good. So their moms are good, and then these guys or these girls right here, um, they'll be they'll be one in September. So somewhere between that, they'll be pregnant and they'll
Hmm.
have a baby somewhere around two. So then they'll be a part of the milk herd and they'll be producing milk and sending it off to Mayfield.
Yay, that's so exciting. So 2026, hopefully they'll join the milking herd and maybe
Yes, yeah,
2026. That's exciting. Oh,
yes,
thank
yes.
you, Farmer Mary. This has been so much fun getting to chat with you and just see how the girls are doing. Clearly, all of their friends are ready for them to come back out to them. But
Yes.
so we'll wrap up here today. And I just wanted to ask you one more question.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of work that you all do. You shared all of the amazing things you do from 2:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night sometimes. I'm sure it's a lot of work, but I know there's a reason why. So can you share a little bit why you guys have chosen dairy farming as your way of life and your career?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I stated earlier in conversation that I married the fourth generation son of the dairy farm. So, it's a family farm that definitely has a lot of history behind it. And uh, my husband usually says, you don't work a day in your life if you love what you do. So we absolutely love what we do. We love to get to raise the fifth generation that at 6 and 2 already show a lot of interest in the farm. So that's our why. It's for the next generation to be able to live the life that we live and to, be the American farmer out here.
Yeah.
So it's really just for the next generation, and we love it. And I think it's just kind of in your blood. If you're born here, if you're born in it, it's in your blood. But then also, if you're not and you want to be a farmer, I say go for it because it's a
Yeah.
very while it might not be a very profitable career all the time, it's a very rewarding career for everyone that's in it to choose to do. So
Yeah.
that would be our why. It's rewarding. We have fun. We get to do fun stuff on the farm too.
Yeah.
It's not all work all the time. We have a show string and we get to go hang out at local fairs and show the cows, and our boys get to do that. It's a family affair, and our friends get to come and hang out, and there's a little
Sure.
competition with it. And we love to we love to get a blue ribbon, but we love being around it and always getting to help others learn about the dairy industry. So it's
Oh,
um it's just for the next generation to be able to teach people about it. And we hope that you all have loved getting to know these calves just as much as we have getting to help you learn about it. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we are so thankful for your passion for the dairy industry and sharing this program and your calves with us. We've absolutely loved it. And as you said, I mean, really is an amazing place to raise your kids and just have them really understand. I mean, they get the first hand at where their food comes from and how life works. And what a great legacy you guys have an opportunity to leave to them with the hopeful fifth generation and to
yeah.
continue just forward with your program with your farm. So thank you so much, Farmer Mary and Farmer Tander. I know he's manning the camera in the background.
He
So thank you
is.
so much to both of you for sharing your farm and your calves with us. We've loved getting to know Kisses and Nancy and Nellie, and just really sharing your heart. You couldn't be around this long if you weren't good farmers, right? You can't stay in business this long if you don't know how to care for the land. So you're caring for the land, you're caring for your cows, and you're a great member of the community. So it's awesome to see. So thank you so much. And anything else you wanted to share before we tune off today?
No, I think we're good. We just wanted to say thank you all for following along with this and doing this. We hope that if you signed up this year, we hope you guys sign up next year so you guys can watch more cows grow and learn about the dairy industry. And if you, I will add this, if you're local to us, we do kind of do a show circuit in the fall. So we
Oh,
are in the Knoxville area, Polk County, McMinn, um, Bradley County. If I can talk my husband into a few more, we'll be over in Middle Tennessee as well. So we can if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok or any of that, we always post it. So if you all want to see the cows kind of in action, then or meet us, we would love to
yeah.
meet you all. So we'll be
Oh,
around. Yeah.
that's exciting. Yeah, feel free to check them out in the fall at some local fairs. That would be a lot of fun, and maybe you can get to actually meet Farmer Mary and just like you said, see
Yeah.
you in action and get to see what the
Yeah.
kind of the pretty dolled up side of the dairy industry, which is
Yes.
the
Yeah.
show and the fun. So
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Farmer Mary, and thank you all to echo what she said. Thank you so much for being in this program and for choosing to include agriculture in your classroom. It's so important to know and understand where your food comes from. And just keep Farmer Mary in mind. If you ever have any questions, ask a farmer, not Google. Farmer Mary is a great resource for that, and so are we at Discover Dairy. We want you to feel comfortable and confident where your food's coming from. And this is just one of the many farms in the Pennsylvania and across and well, sorry, I'm from Pennsylvania, from Tennessee and from all of the
Yeah.
states across the country. So with that, I really hope you all sign up for next year. Starting tomorrow is registration, and we look forward to seeing you then. Until then, we hope you all have a wonderful summer. Take care.